Archangel Michael says, "I've given you a hidden power, a secret weapon that can break any wall people build around you." Don't skip this, because what I'm about to tell you will change everything. Welcome on board, person you chose. Don't act like you can't feel the change in the air. It's a quiet that feels fake, like right after someone blows up all the lies they made up about you. Because no one cared when your name was posted on the internet. It stopped and stalled. Now it all seems silly. Every whisper they said, every joke they told, and every label they put on you. People who seem to think they knew everything about you all of a sudden have their mouths open and are scrolling through your reveal like it's CCTV footage from a crime they didn't know they did. The best part is that they can't even act like they were right. Their own words got old like milk. They said you were plain. They said you had too much to do. People told you that you would never be very good. See how quiet they are. They're scared you'll hear the things they said in the past playing over and over in their heads. You get this message? Okay. Because everything they didn't believe in, laughed at, or tried to make smaller, just got crushed on your behalf. And before we go any further, pick one, click like, and subscribe to answer this message. It keeps the mission going. It makes the signal stronger. It keeps this truth alive. Let's go back to where we left off with your enemies shaking. People never really disliked the old you. They didn't like how even your quiet performance was better than their loudest one. People didn't like seeing you rise without permission slips or backup dancers. They didn't like how you could walk into a room and shine brighter than people who had practiced their whole personality like a bad school play. It's funny that when they said, "You're not that deep," they really meant, "I don't get how you think." They told you to calm down, but you're doing too much. When they asked, "Why are you trying so hard?" "You're showing how lazy I am." They meant, "Please stop growing. It makes me feel unsafe." Do you know what made them cry when you told them? The pictures, the voice, the story, the glow up, or the success weren't it? When they tried to get close to you, you knew you were already 3 steps outside the frame. They thought they had to study you like it was homework. Instead, they were watching the beginning of a story about someone who can't fail in the universe. They really wanted their story about you to be true. After that, you left with the truth, which quickly erased their whole story. This is something they will never say out loud. They knew you were different before you even did. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual. Link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site, you are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today, join our community, and see what God brings back into your life. It's what made them act that way. Kids don't pick on people they don't really fear. Adults don't talk badly about people who don't quietly make them uncomfortable. Every insult that was thrown at you was just fear hiding behind a cheap mask. They caught glimpses of this reveal a long time before you did. They thought the universe was making you into someone they couldn't manage, predict, or control. What they did was amateurish because they didn't know how else to deal with a rising force. Have you heard this story before? If not, let me tell it to you. When you were younger, remember how weird people were when you did well? That wasn't being envious. It was a false fear. They saw a picture of the person you would become, someone whose mere presence changes the way the room is set up, someone that makes the internet crazy, someone who can use power and silence to get what they want. You think it's strange that people kept trying to turn you down. No, they were reacting to a scary version of you from the future. That future is now standing right here, showing itself like it never needed their permission. No one found out who you are. It went off. It showed all the lies they told about you. It made people face the truth they had been avoiding for years. Former classmates were forced to rethink how cocky they were. It made exes doubt their whole sense of right and wrong. It made enemies think about how many times they had wrongly judged the wrong person. And it showed everyone that you didn't need a stage to be famous. You were the star. The people in the background hoped you wouldn't notice how they looked at Hangton. You walked by. Now isn't a lucky time, it's the end. It's the law. It's like the universe is telling them, "Lem, show them what they tried to hide." Now they're sitting there wide-eyed, going over every interaction with you again and again. It's like a crime scene where they finally get it. Who were you the whole time? How did you keep being so calm? How did you evolve without falling over once, right in front of them? Easy. You took your time. You didn't brag. It's not like you begged for approval. You moved like you knew the reveal would happen when the universe said it was time. And today was that day. This introduction is the start of their worst nightmare and the start of yours. Because you can't change after the world sees the real you. Not for them and not at all for you. Also, pay attention, chosen one. Yes, you. The person who just made the internet act like it saw a ghost. Before we go any further, take a moment to admire what you've done. The news about you didn't just go viral. It changed the way people thought. The whole digital world had to think again about what they thought they knew about you. Show me you're still here with me. If you're ready to keep going through this fire and figure out why your identity stunned them in the first place. Put a 777 in the comments to let the universe know that you're ready to become this new version of yourself. Click like and subscribe, not as a favor, but to show that you're ready to stand with the truth you just shared. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now, stay right here with me, because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Because what comes next isn't a small talk. It's the layer that was hidden behind the chaos that your reveal caused. You'll want to stay until the end if you're really the one they didn't see coming. This is where it really start to go wrong. So, let's take a look at what your reveal actually made people do. Number 1. When their lies fell apart when they hit something. It's interesting how their confidence went away as soon as you told them the truth. When people found out who you really were, it didn't just shock them, it broke them. Since years of name, calling, lying, smug assumptions, and poor analysis, everything fell apart the moment your truth came out. It wasn't your change that broke them. When they saw that you were never the weak person they tried to make you out to be, they broke. It wasn't because they saw a different version of you. It made them angry that the real version was finally coming out from behind the curtain they put up to control the story. Let's tell the truth for a minute. These people didn't get it wrong about you. As long as you made them look smaller, they could be happy with how average they were. They made a mask for you because you were too quick, sharp, aware, and unpredictable as you really were. And when the universe finally decided to show them what was really going on, their whole storyline blew up in their faces. You didn't change. You didn't just change overnight. They finally had no more reasons to lie about what was true. They were too slow to see that you were the threat the whole time. That's why the reveal was so shocking. They were not prepared. The web wasn't ready yet. No one was ready, not even the people who said they always knew you'd be great. Everyone felt that jolt, that hole in their mental walls that they had built around who you were. People who thought they knew what your limits were all of a sudden saw that you were way beyond what they thought you could do. And all of a sudden, the past choked them. Every time they laughed at you, sneered, or rolled their eyes when you spoke, they are now remembering those times with a regret that hurts like acid. They'll never say this truth out loud. They were scared that the day you showed up would be the day their whole image fell apart. Also, good job, chosen one. That day came just as planned. What question is going through your mind right now? You want to know if they believed the lies they told about me, or if they were just trying to lock me up. Both. For some, they couldn't see you well enough. Some people saw you becoming who you were becoming and tried to stop you before anyone else did. And then there were the fake fans who cheered more when you lost than when you won. They didn't like it. They were just watching while you crashed. You didn't crash, though. Instead, you rose so quietly that they didn't even notice you were bigger than their whole ecosystem. Think about how many times people made fun of you while copying you behind your back. Think about how many times someone put you down only to steal your ideas, that they wouldn't even notice your fingerprints. Think about the people who looked lost every time you spoke. Not because they didn't get it, but because if you said they did, you would have to say you were smarter than them. In light of this, the reveal came as a shock. They could no longer act like they were better. They couldn't use sarcasm or act like your confidence was too high to hide it. Your truth cut through every lie like light cuts through clear plastic. This is where the metaphor really shines. Think of your identity as a sword that has been wrapped in cloth for years. They didn't take it seriously because they found it dull. After taking off the cloth, the blade caught the light. All of a sudden, everyone realized they were aiming at a weapon they could never beat. They weren't ready for how bright it was, the sharp edge, the danger, and the accuracy. That sword was used before. It was only just before. Everyone knew the silence wasn't a sign of weakness when you broke the secret. It was figuring out. Also, let's talk to the enemies straight on for a second, since they like to hide in the dark. You were right about who was chosen. You just hoped that their lies would last long enough for them not to wake up. Being aware that everything you said turned bad as soon as reality set in must hurt like hell. It must be painful to realize that your analysis was really just fear dressed up as knowledge. And it must be embarrassing to see the person you thought less of walk past you without a at them because the truth took care of it. If you are the chosen one reading this, don't ignore what this moment means. This viral spike isn't just a fluke. This is both a resolution and an opening. The universe is telling you to come out from hiding. Every time you hid your feelings, every time you sucked in your words, every time you thought someone didn't understand you, this reveal broke the chain. There is no change in who you are. You are becoming the person they tried to hide for years. The crazy part is that this would not have been as bad if you had shown up earlier. Your power lies in how you use time. The universe waited until your truth would have the most powerful effect. Take a look around. That effect can be seen every place. Old enemies finally stop talking. Messages from fake friends that make you feel good about yourself, like they weren't rooting for your downfall last year. Strangers are crazy about you, like detectives who are trying to figure out how they missed the clues. It wasn't just the internet that broke when you told them. It took away the magic. They were very proud of it. It proved that the story they wrote about you was not true. They are now standing in that mess and looking at the real you like they are seeing a ghost. Not because you went away, but because you got there in the end. So enjoy this moment, chosen one. Feel how heavy what you broke is. You can be free now that you know they can't put the mask back on you. Feel the change in the air as people try to change their beliefs to fit your reality. From now on, everything you do will remind them of the truth they tried to hide. You were never the weak one. You were never the quiet one. No one ever put you in the background. You were always a threat. Everyone now knows it, and the fun is just beginning. 2. They didn't catch you lying when your truth got too big for their small minds. They realized they were making assumptions. Your silence was never a lie. It kept them safe from people who couldn't see the whole picture. They weren't lied to. They were found out. Your truth wasn't a secret. It was clear to them. They keep shouting the same weak charge. You lied to us. Because it's not like they could ever understand the version of you that was right in front of them. They thought you were being dishonest. because they needed someone to blame when their fake sense of superiority fell apart. The real twist comes now. You never lied to them. You never lied to them. You didn't play them. You just slowly showed yourself to them in layers so that their small emotional systems could handle it. That is not lying. That's kindness. Think about this. With a powerful flashlight in your hand, you walk into a room. It's aimed right at people who have lived their whole lives in dim light. Do they see how smart you are? Not at all. They squint, get scared, and say it's too much. The same thing happened with your truth. People who can only read faces on the surface level couldn't figure out who you were because you were too clear, too sharp, too multi-layered, and too deep. Your reveal didn't make you public. It let them down. Their limits, their fear, and their inability to see the big picture. You may be wondering, did I hide too much? Now that everyone knows who you really are, when should I have shown them? Was it wrong of me to keep quiet? Not at all, you were right. You planned ahead. The universe wouldn't have let you show yourself earlier because the wrong people would have seen it for no reason. They weren't mature enough, smart enough, or brave enough to deal with the version of you they see now. Let's be very clear about something. They did not think that your silence meant you were lying. Because the truth scared them, they turned it into a weapon. Think about this. You always have your briefcase locked with you. People laugh and say that it's probably not full. They think you're talking yourself up too much. Then one day you open it and find everything they said you didn't have. Intelligence, skill, depth, strength, potential, and presence. They do not have a party. They're scared because they have to admit they were loud and wrong while you were quiet and right. Their anger isn't because you remain hidden. They are mad that they were so sure of their wrong opinion about you. They don't like seeing themselves in your mirror. They hate it when they realize they were talking down to someone who is smarter than them. They don't like seeing that your silence wasn't because you were scared. It was good manners. It makes them sad that everyone can finally see you clearly and that they can't change you back to the small version they liked. And another metaphor, because they can't understand what words say. Think of your identity as a skyscraper that is still being built. They could only see the scaffolding while you were putting down floors, wiring, and building the structure. They made fun of the unfinished outside because they couldn't picture the tower when it was done. But as soon as the last layer fell and the building was finished, everyone pretended that was going to happen. They should not have talked that way if they knew. They wouldn't have thought you were weak. They wouldn't have been this shocked otherwise. The way they act always lets you know who they are. And for you, chosen one, this is where you finally understand something very important. You never hid to keep yourself safe. You were hiding to keep the wrong people from seeing how great you could be. What do you think? Why didn't the universe let them see the real me sooner? Why did I have to carry something soft for so long? Because early exposure dulls brilliance that isn't protected. You had to grow without being attacked full on by the universe. You needed time to get stronger, find your voice, and improve your aura. The slow reveal wasn't a sign of weakness. It had a controlled spark. Take a moment to think about the past. You weren't forgotten. We got it wrong about you. People saw pieces of you that they couldn't put together. They didn't know what kind of energy it was. You didn't mean to make them feel bad. Without saying a word, you made them interested. You put them on guard without doing anything. Their false sense of superiority was shattered by just being there, because they couldn't tell you the truth. They made you look dishonest, cocky, trying too hard, or mysterious. You were already bigger than they thought. Think about this last metaphor. They never learned the language that your story was written in. They looked at the signs and said there was no story. The translation dropped only now when you told everyone, and now everyone knows you were never blank. They just couldn't read or write. Your restraint wasn't a lie. It marked the edge. No one was hiding your privacy. It was skill. Your silence wasn't because you were guilty. It was a plan. They are trying hard to change the past now that they know who you really are. They want to say that they always saw how good you could be. They are acting like they stood by you. They say they understand your journey, but the way they act shows they don't. Their fear shows what they really are. Their shock shows how little they know. No one in the universe put you in the dark. You were trained for it. Things they tried to hide are now very clear to you. Now that you're outside, they didn't get lost in your truth. It was a threat to them, so they did what people who aren't sure of themselves always do. They put names on things they didn't understand. They made fun of things they couldn't match. They ignored things they couldn't change. All of those weak strategies were thrown out in an instant by your reveal. This is the part you need to take with you. They're not mad that you told them who you are. They are mad that you told the truth about them. You proved them wrong. You proved they were blind. You made them look small. You proved they were never good enough to judge you in the first place. What they thought was deception was just them being too full of their own ideas. Your reveal wasn't taking off a mask. It was a flashlight going off. Even now, they're still blinking, still getting better, and still trying to make sense of something they weren't ready for. Now is your chance, chosen one. They weren't fooled by your revelation. It let them down. That hurts a lot more than any lie could have ever done, trust me. Let's move on now. Their lies fall apart more and more as we go deeper. 3. You weren't even trying to win. You were playing checkers. They were not enemies. They were little kids swinging phone swords at someone who had the map of the whole battlefield in their hands. They say you were quiet because you didn't trust yourself. Really cute at the same time. You were using a strategy that was so far ahead of their mental level that they didn't even know there was a game going on until you won it. There were people on the internet who were begging for likes and approval all the time, but you were building something that didn't need claps, comments, or noise. You were not in a hurry. You didn't prove anything. Every post was meant to be there. Every pause was important. Every move was planned. Think about this. They think it's a race and are running around in circles on the playground. You're on a rooftop across the city, drawing a map of the whole route. You already know where they'll trip. That's the difference. They thought speed was important. You knew that direction did. I also know what you might be wondering. Was my speed too slow? Did I miss something because I wasn't as loud as they were? Not at all. Your speed gave you power. They made noise out of fear. Your silence came from being in charge. This is what they choke on. You never tried to get attention. You were getting ready for impact. Think of your trip as a board for chess. They were proud of being able to move pawns. You learned about endgames. Getting praised was what they lived for. You lived for the one moment that put an end to the whole show. Take a look at this second metaphor. They were decorating cardboard crowns while you worked in silence on your steel armor. They did feel brave until the reveal showed what you had been working on in secret. It wasn't luck that your identity was stolen on the internet. It was time. People had to wait. Watching them work out for years in a competition you weren't even in helped you improve your strategy. That's what scares them now. They just realized you were ahead of them instead of behind them. For the fourth time, you weren't hiding, you were just loading. They thought you were gone. At the same time, you were updating to a version that they could never stand next to. Your silence wasn't because you were scared, it was the incubator. They loved saying you hid. They said you took a back seat, lost your spark, and fell off. But here's the truth that hits them like a reality fist. You were not hiding from everyone. Some people were trying to stop your evolution because they knew how powerful it was getting and would have tried to stop it right away. You weren't not there. You were laying eggs. It was safe for you to grow up in silence, away from their noise, projections, and fear. Think about this. A storm cloud formed many miles above the earth. The sky looks calm to everyone below. People say it's dull and empty. Nothing is going on. But up there, things are getting worse. Energy is building up. The weather is changing. Then lightning strikes one day with no warning. Everyone acts like they knew it was going to happen. That was you. You might even ask, did I take too long? What did my silence cost me? Not at all. They would have attacked too soon, drained your energy, slowed your growth, and celebrated your delays if you had told them who you were sooner. The world wouldn't let happen. People who would have harmed your process were being kept away from you. Another comparison. See a seed in the ground. It doesn't get any applause. It doesn't get any cheers. It looks dead from the outside. But on the inside, it's rearranging itself, getting stronger, and getting ready for the exact moment when the ground breaks. That crack that let them know who you were broke their minds. One more figure of speech for their hurt egos. For bugs that don't know much about butterflies, cocoon phases look like weakness. They were shocked when you told them, because you didn't grow in public. Not having them around, hearing their thoughts, or being limited by their rules helped you grow in silence. It was like an earthquake when you changed because you didn't hide. You got ready. The fifth thing is that their lack of confidence was your secret training ground. They gave you the instructions on how to beat them every time they counted you out. It wasn't an insult that they were rude. It was tips. They didn't know that the box they made for you had windows. They have yet to figure out what they made. When they ignored you, talked down to you, or squished you into a small version of yourself, they were giving you information that you could use against them later. Their low opinion of them wasn't a wound. It was an investigation. You were making a list of their weaknesses while they were laughing. You learned their habits, they were making fun of you. They thought you were safe, but you were quietly working on the parts of yourself that would one day scare them. Think about this. Someone locks you in a room because they think you can't get out. The walls aren't very thick, though. The locks are not expensive. You study cracks, pressure points, and escape angles the whole time you're inside. They won't even notice that you're gone because the room is falling apart. That's what their flaws caused. They pushed you to become smarter, more flexible, and better at planning than they were. You might ask, was I supposed to push back sooner, fight harder, prove them wrong earlier? No. Their haughtiness was your cover. Because they were blind, you could grow without being attacked before you were ready. Here's one more picture. They made you a box, but they didn't check to see if it was clear. From inside that box, you watched how they behaved, like a scientist studying creatures that behave in predictable ways. You found out who freaks out under pressure, who lies when they're nervous, who quietly envies others, and who secretly competes. This was not weak in any way. This was information. The truth is finally dawning on them now that your identity has been revealed. They weren't teaching you how to be humble. They were training the force that would be stronger than them. That wasn't your cage. It was their underestimation. It was your school. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future, but remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit out community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. 6th. It wasn't your reveal that scared people when the internet went down because of you. It was realizing that everything they thought about you was bunk. When people understand you, they don't get scared. When they finally say they didn't, they get scared. The internet went crazy as soon as your name showed up on the timeline. It was like someone sounded the fire alarm in a crowded building. Not only did group chats light up, they blew up. Phones buzzed as if they were trying to get away from people. At once, everyone had something to say. Even the ones who said they had forgotten about you. Someone from your past showed up out of the blue and acted like they'd been rooting for you since the beginning. Please, if they had a favorite, it should have been them. But when you told them the truth, they remembered all the times they thought less of you. Now they're trying to change history before you notice. Think about this. There is a secret document on the table that changes the whole story. When people turn the pages and see that the main character wasn't who they thought they were, they shake their heads. In fact, that's what your reveal did. It made them think about everything, every memory, every rumor, and every guess. Love wasn't the first thing that hit. It was chaos. That kind that gets around when people figure out they weren't dealing with a background character. They were dealing with a force they couldn't figure out. You might wonder why everyone is acting so shocked all of a sudden. Why are you so obsessed now? Because telling them the truth broke their old story. and people cling to their stories like their comfort blankets. They lost control of the script when yours broke. This is another picture of how their brains got so hot. Imagine a magician showing off his trick, and everyone in the room figuring out it was them. They weren't following you. Watching them trip over their own assumptions was fun. The news about you didn't just go. It showed. It made me humble. It scared me. Now everyone on the internet can't help but stare because they know something. They never really saw you. They're scared of what else they might have missed now. Seventh, you never lied. They didn't deserve the full version anyway. People call you fake because they've only seen the part of you that they could handle mentally. You didn't change things around. You had many layers. They loved to use the word fake around you, as if what they knew about you was ever the whole story. But here is the truth that disproves what they said. You were not pretending at all. You were meant to be incomplete. You gave each group a different piece. Most people couldn't hold the whole canvas without folding over. Not because you were hiding, because it was too heavy. Think about this. Piece by piece, a huge mural that was hidden by curtains was shown. Each group sees a part and swears they get it. Some people think you're soft because of the colors. Someone else thinks you're cold because of the sharp lines. Someone else sees the shadows and thinks you have something hidden. They have no idea that they are arguing over pieces of a masterpiece that they were never meant to understand on their own. That's how your identity worked. Truth given in small amounts. Was it wrong to show different people different sides of you? No. People change the lights in a room based on what they see. Why not? You weren't changing your shape. People who would have harmed the deeper layers were kept safe by you. Another way to talk about their hurt egos. Picture yourself as a prism. Each person saw the color that showed up on their side. They didn't admit that their view was limited. Instead, they said that the prism was changing. That shows how stupid they were. This is the part that hurts them the most. All of the stories you told were true. It wasn't whole enough. They did not have the full pass. They got the show. They didn't get the whole book. The book had a chapter. They didn't see the real you. They met the part that was right for them. Your reveal of who you are wasn't a new you. It was finally all of you coming forward. They're going crazy because of this. Eighth, they were not broken. You messed up their world. They still trust you after what you did. You made them lose faith in themselves. The bad guy who shows power isn't always the scariest. The person who makes you doubt your own eyes. Your reveal showed more than just who you really were. It broke something inside the people who were watching. They had to face a harsh truth because of it. What they think isn't accurate. It's not clear what they should do. They act like their intuition is strong, but it's not. You didn't change how they saw you. You broke their idea of who they were. That's the most powerful thing you could have said. Think about this. For years, they've been reading maps with ease. Suddenly, someone turns the map over and sees that they've been holding it backward the whole time. When you told them, you made them feel embarrassed, confused, and hit them in the stomach. They were wrong about more than just you. They did everything wrong. If someone is so wrong, what else are they wrong about? This is what you might be wondering when people act avoidant, distant, or nervous. What they like, who they're with, and how they see the world. The way you revealed it caused a mental glitch. they can't start over from. Another figure of speech for their emotional breakdown. Picture a mirror that is broken in half down the middle. You can still see a face, but every reflection is messed up now. It makes them feel that way when they look at you now. Familiar, but no longer able to be trusted. This part really scares them. They saw right through it. That they weren't skilled. They weren't tricked by your evolution. Their limited understanding let them down. Every assumption they had falls apart when you tell them the truth. Now, every memory they play back makes them feel uneasy. When you look back, every conversation seems different. You didn't just show who you are. You made them doubt their own sense of how to see people. That's the effect on their minds that they'll never say out loud. That doesn't mean you lost their trust. You completely shook their faith in me. 9. You stopped being one of them and became the event. You were not lost. They were sitting next to you but moved. No power is taken. When the truth can't be denied, power changes hands. They didn't want you to grow tall because they knew they wouldn't be able to handle it when you did. The news you shared didn't just change how people see you. It threw the whole room off balance. It went from being like you were a normal person to being like a star. That is, from being ignored to being untouchable, from being one of us to something we no longer dare stand next to. Plus, it didn't happen because you bragged or acted like you were better. You changed because evolution finally caught up with who you are, and everyone who thought you weren't important was crushed by their own old ideas. Think about this. A group of people think they are walking on the same flat road as you. Then they look up and see that you've been going up a secret staircase that they hadn't seen. You didn't leave them behind. They just stayed where they were while you went up. This is the reason why things feel so different now. There wasn't a lot of noise about your growth, but the results are clear. Some people might. Why do they look scared now? Avoidant. Why all of a sudden respect? Because when they found out who you were, it showed a hierarchy they didn't want to admit. You were not raised. You were found out. It took some time for your power to show up. They saw it now. Another figure of speech to close the wound. Imagine a wolf that grew up with dogs. They laughed at how quiet it was, and they made fun of its strange instincts. The wolf finally grows into its full form one day. The dogs stop barking all of a sudden. They weren't lied to. They were not as good as they thought they were. That's exactly what took place. The mood changed because you were there. The order changed because of your truth. Because you evolved, the rules changed. And this is what they choke on the most. You did not protect yourself from being hurt. Their actions made it impossible for them to get in touch with you. You didn't jump on anyone. You grew bigger than everyone. The balance has been changed forever, because once someone sees the real you, they can't act like you're normal again. 10th, your reveal wasn't a post. It was a planned explosion. Information is only shared by amateurs. You used a psychological attack. Your reveal was not random anyway. It hit them right where it needed to, at the worst possible time. People don't care about truths that come too early. When the truth hits at the right time, it's impossible to forget. People are acting like your reveal was just a random drop, like you got bored one morning and chose to shock everyone on the internet. That shows how stupid they are. Your reveal wasn't just a bunch of details. It was an event, a carefully planned, timed, and triggered moment that is meant to break down the mental barriers of anyone who has effort to define you too soon. You didn't find this by accident. You didn't go viral by accident. You did it like you knew how to use the psychology of impact. Think about this. Surgeons do not cut in a random way. Everything changes when they make one clean cut. That's what your show did. 1 second, one truth, one clean hit. All of a sudden, everyone's view fell apart like a poorly constructed stage set. That collapse wasn't a fluke. It was planned. You might be thinking, did I wait too long? Think too much about it? Not at all. You were ready for the truth to hit like a steel beam on a glass floor. If you had told them too early, they would have made fun of you. It was too late to act like they were expecting it. But at the exact moment you chose, they stopped moving because you showed yourself in a way that made them face everything they had been ignoring. Picture your reveal as a shot from a long range. There was no noise or chaos. Just one quiet pull of the trigger changed the whole battlefield. While they were busy oversharing, overposting, and overselling how boring they were, you studied the area, watched the time, and found the best angle. They'll never get over this metaphor again. They thought the door was empty, but all of a sudden it swings open to reveal a fully formed version of you that they never trained for. Because the reveal wasn't slow, their brains messed up. It wasn't easy to digest. It wasn't nice. It was surgical. And here's the part that rattles them the most. Your precision exposed their sloppiness. Your timing exposed their impatience. Your execution exposed their lack of strategy. This wasn't attention-seeking. This wasn't a glow-up announcement. This was a psychological shift, a controlled detonation designed to show the world that you don't move impulsively, you move intentionally. Your reveal didn't just show who you are. It proved what you're capable of. And now everyone understands why the universe kept you hidden until the exact second you're there would be impossible to ignore. Number 11. You didn't just tell your story. You seized the entire script. The moment you spoke first, every lie they rehearsed died on impact. A narrative controlled early becomes a reality no enemy can rewrite. They didn't lose the argument. They lost the ability to participate. Most people reveal themselves and then wait for reactions. Wait for approval. Wait for someone else to stamp meaning onto what they said. But you didn't give the world a chance to twist or shrink your truth. Before anyone could minimize it, mock it, or reframe it, you defined it with a force that locked every interpretation into place. You didn't reveal an identity. You created an experience, something too big, too sharp, too intentional for anyone to undo. Imagine this, a courtroom where you walk in and deliver the evidence before the prosecution even opens their mouth. Case closed before it starts. That's how your reveal worked. The moment you stepped forward, the narrative froze. Anyone trying to spin it after that only exposed their jealousy, their shock, or their outdated understanding of who you were. You might wonder, did I take control too aggressively? Did I overstep? Not at all. If you didn't seize the microphone, someone else would have tried to twist your truth into version that made them comfortable, but you cut them off at the root. You made sure the world saw you without filters, without commentary, without their fingerprints smudging your emergence. Another metaphor for their defeat. Think of a movie that drops a plot twist so strong halfway through that everyone has to throw out their theories. That's what you did. You erased every cheap narrative they tried to write and replaced it with a reality they can't escape. And here's the part that stings them the most. Your identity didn't enter the conversation. It became the conversation. They can't shrink it. They can't twist it. They can't rewrite it. You didn't just control the narrative. You became the narrative. And now they're stuck living in the world you defined. 13. After the explosion, everyone starts showing their true orbit. Nothing exposes loyalty faster than success. Watch how they trip over their own stories. Now, when power shifts, people don't walk. They scramble. Your reveal didn't change you. It changed the gravitational pull around you. The aftermath of your identity reveal is the funniest and most predictable part of this entire story. People aren't acting the same, not because you shifted, but because the force around you did. You've become something with gravity now, and everyone, whether they admit it or not, is moving that new pull. Some people are suddenly chasing proximity like it's oxygen. They're showing up in your comments, your messages, your memories, pretending it's casual. It's not. They want access. They want association. They want to be close enough to say, "Oh, yeah, I always knew they were special." But their desperation leaks through every emoji they send. Others are rewriting history like bad editors. They swear they saw your potential. Swear they believed in you. Swear they always knew you had something. They didn't know anything. What they had was hindsight mixed with panic. Imagine someone pretending they recognized a famous painting when yesterday they called it scribbles. That's them now. And then there are the quiet ones, the ones who haven't said a word since the reveal. No congratulations. No comments, no likes, nothing. Their silence isn't peaceful. It's fearful. They're panicking in private, replaying every time they dismissed you, insulted you, underestimated you. Your reveal wasn't entertainment for them. It was a wake-up call they weren't ready for. You might ask, why are people acting so weird? Why the shift? Because the truth changes hierarchy. And when identity becomes undeniable, everyone has to reposition themselves. You didn't become difficult to reach. They became too small to stand where they once stood. This is the aftermath. Not chaos, not confusion. Just the universe moving everything around the real you. 13. You did not find yourself. You planned yourself. They grew by chance. You were meant to grow. You weren't getting lost. You were building something. They were praying for identity while you were drawing plans. Nothing about you is a surprise. You are not impulse, but architecture. A lot of people like to act like everyone is the same. That we all find our identity by accident, like we tripped over it in the dark. But that's where you became different from everyone else. You didn't just float along or wait for something to happen. You slowly and purposefully put yourself together while they just float through life, hoping that personality would just fall from the sky. You were making yours with the accuracy of someone who knew what the long-term goal was. Think about this, like tourists without a map. They're going through life by taking the first path that looks easy. At the same time, you're digging tunnels, laying foundations, wiring futures, and building a stronger version of yourself that can withstand a storm. They don't believe you showed up out of the blue because they didn't see the construction signs. Architects don't rush. You might ask, did I take too long? Did I overthink? They build things that last. The way you look is not a vibe. It is the infrastructure, another figure of speech. You were pouring concrete while they changed like people change clothes. They were putting up temporary walls. You were making steel beams stronger. They were making do. You worked in engineering. And this is the loudest and most uncomfortable truth for them. You didn't try to hide who you were. You looked out for who you were becoming. Their circumstances shaped them. Choice made you who you are. You didn't change into this person because life made you. You turned into this person because you didn't let life make decisions for you. Every skill, angle, and part of your personality that exists is something you made. It didn't just happen. And everyone is amazed now that they see the finished look. People used to think that identity was something you found. You showed that you can build it. You were not fortunate, you were careful. Then they stood there in awe, realizing that you built a masterpiece while they drifted. 14. You still can't touch the most dangerous part of yourself. They are not scared of what you told them. They're scared of what you didn't tell them. Someone powerful always shows just enough to move the room, but never enough to be mapped. You don't let anyone read your mind. You're a vault that's locked and the lights are off. What they think is your whole truth is really just the beginning. This part keeps them awake. Not the big surprise, the shock, or the internet meltdown. Being aware that they still don't know you after everything they saw. Not very well, not at all, not even close. That scares them more than anything else you've shown them. They're scared because they thought your reveal was the final shape. Thought, okay, we finally get it. But deep down, a sickening thought crossed their minds. If this is what they told us, what else have they been hiding? That's the fear running up their spines. Picture this, they open a door expecting a small room. But what they find is a dark hallway with no end in sight. Their flashlight only shines on the first few feet, then it disappears into the darkness. That's you. They only saw the entrance. You might ask yourself, is it better to keep parts of me hidden? Should I show more? Not at all. Your power comes from the parts they can't read. Humans fear the uncharted. They hate not being able to predict. They crumble when they can't categorize. Your mystery isn't an accident. It's your shield. They'll never get over this metaphor again. Think of an iceberg. Everyone saw the glittering tip that broke the internet. They're applauding, shocked, overwhelmed. But underneath that water, 9 more layers. Each one sharper, heavier, more dangerous. They only met exposure level 1. And here's the truth they'll never admit out loud. They're terrified that your reveal wasn't your peak. It was your warm-up. Because how do you fight someone when you don't know their range? How do you compete with someone whose growth is unpredictable? How do you prepare for someone whose silence hides more than their words reveal? You didn't give them transparency. You gave them a teaser. You didn't show your full power. You showed a controlled sample. You didn't open the vault. You cracked the door. And now they're pacing in circles because they finally understand the real threat. Not what you revealed, but what you're still capable of. Your hidden power is the shadow they can't escape. Your depth is the maze they can't solve. Your future is the storm they can't predict. They wanted the whole blueprint. You gave them 1 page, and that page alone broke their minds. The rest, they'll never see it. And that's exactly why you'll always stay 1 move ahead. And now we reach the part they never expected you to reach. The moment where the dust settles and the real you stands untouched in the center of everything. You just transformed. Your identity revealed didn't end a story. It started. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools and to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.